Great. Thanks for having me.
Okay, there we go.
Hey.
All right.
Welcome.
I heard the story about AOL, and I tell you, I remember getting those discs too. It was like the best thing in the world.
It was. It's the greatest little thing. I'm like, I wish I could have one now. For posterity.
For me, that ranked up there with like getting Miss Pac-Man when it first came out. You know?
Exactly. Right. Like go into the arcade.
I don't know if I'm dating myself. But.
No, I have.
You're amongst folks who know. Trust.
You gotta NFT that AOL disc.
Yeah, right.
I'm telling you, it's wonderful.
You can put that on IPFS now.
Yeah, look at that. There too, press it up.
Hello.
So Eric, it's good to see you. I know last time we chatted. It was by I wasn't on video. I don't know if you were, but it was all oral. So it's nice to finally see you in person. Kind of.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And actually, it was Rob Morton and he did that
First
talk with
you. And is Rob joining us or?
I think Rob. I may have saw him in the chat. I don't know if he'll show his face, but yeah. Here he is.
Rob is in the chat.
Yeah. So.
Hi, Rob. I really enjoyed talking to both of you last time. So.
Got it. So. Dr. K, if you want to start with the introduction, so we
sure. You know what? Let's jump right in, guys. If it's Wednesday, it is Blockchain Chat with BBC, and we've already established, February as Tokenization Month. So we are here today with our esteemed panelists. We've been really going over this whole concept of tokenization in all its flavors, starting off with the first of the month with tokenization of energy and energy infrastructures. And today we are welcoming our guests, Doug Pepe of
Mango Farms Assets.
Mega Farm Assets.
What day you're asking?
I was thinking Ravencoin. I was like, no, when I say Ravencoin.
I'm Joseph Day Garrison, the law firm, Mango Farm Assets, the blockchain platform, and I teach at GW. So you can pick which one, but
I know, and we love all of that, how that all comes together. That's tremendous. So, really, since we've been chit-chatting and whatnot, we'll just kind of jump right in and start talking about what's new with Mango Farm, unless anybody else on the panel wants to jump out and kind of frame up anything. Any questions?
I'm happy to answer that. I mean,
all right, let's go.
So Mango Farm, started out as a pet project of mine, just to learn blockchain space, learn how to develop. I got interested pretty early on in the Ravencoin project, and Ravencoin Ravencoin was designed to create what we now call NFTs before anybody was really even talking about NFTs.
Okay.
On Ravencoin they're called assets, but it's the same thing as an NFT. And so I dipped a toe in development, which was a bit unusual for me. I hadn't actually coded anything since I was a kid. So I started coding a little bit and put together the first version of the Mango Farm platform. So, fast forward from then to now, it's a couple of years later, the platform's developed a little bit further. It is a platform that's designed to allow regular folks who don't have an engineering degree or computer science background to create, NFTs or blockchain assets for themselves. It's a free platform. I don't charge for it. But what Mango Farm sort of branched out into is, I have this relationship now with a company called IP Assets, which I own part of. And what my role is in IP Assets range, it's a little bit, I don't have a title. I'm sort of architect of things. And so what IP Assets and Mango Farm together are doing is, actually bringing the platform, the Mango Farm platform tools themselves into sort of white label custom solutions for things like, the first thing we did was an e-commerce platform and website for an artist. His name is Rick Devant. And so Rick's, it's not a, sort of cookie cutter platform. It's designed around Rick. It's Rick's website. It's Rick's e-commerce platform. And users sign up, they buy a piece of artwork on the e-commerce platform, and automatically the platform sends the artist a blockchain token. That token is the provenance for the piece of art that they purchased directly from Rick. Really interesting guy, great watercolors. I actually have later on, if you want a demo, I put together a little video before earlier today. So I can show you sort of what people can do with Ravencoin, with Mango Farm on Ravencoin, and then sort of what, if you really wanted to go the next step, what you can do if you wanted to put together some sort of a custom solution for yourself. So I put together, a couple of little clips so I can show you all later.
Oh, we're all excited about that, definitely.
Great.
Yeah.
Douglas, I'm sorry. I have a question if we don't, because Mango Farms works very different when it comes to NFTs and what we see from the other NFT platforms such as Rarible, Nifty Gateway, and Super Rare and OpenSea, where those platforms themselves are the host for the artwork.
Right.
But from your side, you're allowing that artist to have their own website.
Yeah.
And Mango Farms is basically working in the back end to create the NFTs.
Correct. That's an approach, right? It's intentional as well. I'm not in this for the money or to create massive platforms or whatever. One of the reasons I'm doing this is, one, I wanted to learn, and two, it's for empowerment. So the Rick DeMont site, for example, I mean, it's a turnkey, fully baked e-commerce platform with a lot of features associated with it, coupled with a blockchain platform that literally anybody can use. It's point and click type stuff. And, artists, they need that launching pad. If they're not sort of famous artists, if they're struggling artists or just starting out, they need a platform. They need a solution to get their product out there to others. And, we sort of went the traditional, merging blockchain with traditional e-commerce, at least in that platform. I mean, we've got other ideas for sort of, once we have a critical mass of a number of artists, putting them all together in, sort of a central, let's call it an eBay style auction type site where, the NFTs will then, auto-populate this site and artists can sell, on the site. But it's very much, a grassroots type deal. We're not some huge organization. We're trying to empower the folks like us, who are, out there trying to make a living and trying to, put their artwork or their NFTs on the blockchain. They can do it very simply, either for free on the Mango Farm platform using Ravencoin, or if they want to go the next step, have their own site and their own e-commerce platform. So that's really what we're doing.
I like that. It's awesome.
You know what? I always wanted to ask, what kind of skills do you need to have, I guess, to really create the NFTs? When I go on these different sites, I'm like, man, I could create some stuff, but there's certain looks and things that some of them have that I want. I'm like, I want that look though, so I don't want to just upload any old something.
Absolutely. Look, there are two pieces to your question, I think. One is, the skill set, and the skill set is, ranges from, you need practically a computer science background in order to do some of these things. Make your own smart contract or on Ethereum, or down to the level of, what Mango Farm was designed to do is to make it literally the subtitle of Mango Farm is, we have two. One of them is blockchain assets made easy. It's designed to make it easy. It's a web form. If you can fill out a web form, you can make an NFT on Mango Farm. Okay. Ravencoin, same deal. I mean, the actual native Ravencoin QT, it's called QT platform, is very easy to use. What we did with Mango Farm though was provided a bunch of extra tools. So you don't need to know how to use IPFS to store your files in order to load them onto the Ravencoin blockchain when you use Mango Farm. It just does it for you. You don't even know it's doing it, but it does it. We have encryption. So if you want to keep your data private, it's sort of encryption made easy. You click a couple of buttons and boom, your stuff is encrypted. You don't even have to know it's doing the encryption. Awesome. So that's sort of the approach we took. So to answer your direct question, it's, you don't really need. The important point is, if you have a product that you want to bring to market or you want to bring out to people, or even if you have something you just want to post on a blockchain, right? You should be able to do that without having to know anything about the blockchain. I can send an email without knowing what TCP/IP is.
Absolutely.
So it's sort of, that's the approach. It's to, sort of break it down to a level where people can actually use the thing.
Right. That's awesome. Well, I think that pretty much leaves it where you got to show us better than you can tell us. So
yeah, I'm happy to. If you guys want to share, let me share my screen. I have a couple of clips here. See if I can do this. I can. Great.
Okay, good. Do you have
all right? So can you see my screen now?
Coming through. Hold on.
Yep, coming through.
All right, great.
Live.
So I made 3 clips to show you all. The first is a new product that isn't out yet. So you're seeing it before anybody except for me and my, folks that I work with and my family. I use it all the time because what it is basically Dropbox, but uses IPFS. IPFS, for those who don't know, is the Interplanetary File System. It's a file system that sort of it allows you to pin files onto a server that you run or a daemon that you run, and then those files become accessible by a hash from anybody in the world that also has one of these IPFS nodes or daemons. So what this product is, Ravencoin IPFS, is it basically allows you to pin and drag and drop files just like you would on your desktop file explorer. But it does it on the web and it pins them to IPFS, and it's got all little features like encryption and the like. And the reason I made that is because folks who want to use the Ravencoin platform, the way you put your data with the blockchain token or asset is you take the data and you put it through IPFS, you pin it, and you get that hash. And that hash is actually the thing that goes on the blockchain. So before I show you this, let me just back up for a second. I mean, what is an NFT? What is a blockchain asset? What is a blockchain token, right? Bitcoin is, if I want to send you a Bitcoin, all I'm doing is I'm unlocking a little bit of hex code and I'm saying, I'm going to lock it to you. So this person has the key and the person that I'm sending it to, and I'm unlocking it and locking it to their key. Okay. But what is the thing that's being locked and unlocked? It's just a series of letters and numbers, right? It's hex code. It's got no real world connection. We all say it has value because we value the Bitcoin network. So Bitcoin is worth $42,000 right now, but there's nothing saying that. There's no connection legally or tangibly between that exchange and the real world. Blockchain assets are different. If I have a piece of art, right, and I hang it on my wall, and I create a token for that piece of art, and I put that on the blockchain, there's no connection between the two of those unless I make the connection. Okay, so that's where the law comes in. That's where this IPFS comes in, because what I do is I can put a legal document, right, on IPFS, and I can get that hash for that legal document, and then attach that hash, bind it to a blockchain token. At that moment, right, that blockchain token then is locked to that asset in the real world and has legal rights and obligations, or it could be a certificate of authenticity. It could be any number of things. But the key to all of this is to be able to do it. And to do it, you have to be able to use IPFS, at least for Ravencoin. So the platform that I created is one that allows people to just take their files, dump them up here like they would on their file explorer, get an IPFS hash, and then attach it to the Ravencoin blockchain using the Ravencoin core wallet, not Mango Farm. So that's what I want to show you now, because it's sort of, it undercuts Mango Farm to some degree, because it's sort of saying you don't need to use Mango Farm to do all this stuff, but it empowers people to use the regular Ravencoin QT wallet and do the same types of things that Mango Farm does. So let me show you that video. All right, so this is the platform. It's just a big circle, and you can take any file that you want. It can be a legal document, it can be a photo, it could be a video, anything that you would store on a computer, and just drop it into this circle here, which I did. Very straightforward. Now I have encryption built into this, but you don't need to encrypt. IPFS is a public system. Anybody with this identifier can read the document. Encryption prevents that. So if you have a private document or a private contract or something like that, you can just hit the yes button and it will encrypt it for you. But for this case, I said no. So I uploaded the file now, and then this little series of letters and numbers here, this hash, that's a representation of the document, which is also in this QR code. I can then, if I have an IPFS node, or I have a gateway on this platform, I can view that document anywhere in the world just by pulling up that hash, which is great. That's why I say I use it a lot, because I'm using it as my Dropbox. I mean, I send people photos and videos and everything. You drop a link into your text message, and you can send somebody a 100 gig document if you wanted to. But the purpose of this is for tokenizing assets. So then, I've got a little file explorer, and the example I did here was, I've got all my artists, and Picasso, Rembrandt, and Rick Demont, and I want to add dollies. So I put in a new folder, and I want to drop my dolly that I just put in there into that folder. I take it. Now, if you look over here, this is your hash again, and you can do things like view it, download it, get a link, or delete it. And we'll show you that. So there's what I just uploaded.
Oh, my favorite.
And it's a dolly painting.
Mhm.
But why this is important for tokenization is I can take this IPFS hash right here and copy it. And now you're going to see I have the Ravencoin wallet in the background. I'm going to pull it up. And the Ravencoin wallet, I'm going to create a blockchain asset. So I go to create assets right in the Ravencoin wallet, which you can get on the Ravencoin GitHub if you want it, or ravencoin.org website. And I create an asset with a unique name. So this one I chose Salvador Dali's second painting. I'm using testnet here, so I didn't actually have to pay for this. This is just an experiment. I click this check availability. It tells me that name has never been used before on this Ravencoin testnet. Every Ravencoin asset has a unique name, which is different from an ERC20 token. I can select my quantity, and then I click add IPFS transaction ID or hash. I put that series of letters and numbers in there, and boom, I hit the button, and I've just created an NFT. Now, I don't know about you and how many times you guys have made NFTs on Ethereum or other platforms, but we just made an NFT in what, 10 seconds? With an associated document that was bespoke. I created that document. So I put in that Salvador Dali painting, but that could have just as easily been a contract. It could have been, I could put a database and attach a database to it. I could do anything, a video. I've done, all sorts of experimentation with different types of files and assets and the like. And you, boom, you put that hash in there and you're done. You've just created your first NFT.
Well, listen, let me understand something. If you were to, you said something about naming it uniquely. What if you named it the same? Would it do like the computers do? It just creates another copy, or because we're talking blockchain, it just adds it right on?
So it's a good question. One of the added value pieces of the Ravencoin blockchain is that all names are unique. So if I have Coca-Cola, nobody else can ever get Coca-Cola. But what you can do is create an asset. But once you own Coca-Cola, you can create sub-assets, Coca-Cola Diet, Coca-Cola this, Coca-Cola that. If somebody owns Coca-Cola, obviously Coca-Cola will, if Ravencoin becomes, extremely popular and Coca-Cola wants to tokenize something on it, they will, obviously want to buy it. But you can, there are ways around this. If you choose, like, for example, I have a platform called IP Assets. I'll show you a little piece of that later. But the assets that are on that actually don't have a name. The name is, it's called CRC32, but it's a representation of a name. So I know, and my platform knows, and my viewer knows what the real world name of that item is. But to prevent collisions in the name, we precisely for the question that you just asked, it looks like a series of random letters and numbers. So the blockchain itself will display a series of random letters and numbers, and my viewer, the viewer that we created, will convert those into a real world name. So I can have any number of names that are already taken and use them with this methodology. So there are ways around what you just asked.
Okay. So
I don't want. Am I being too technical? I'm trying.
No, hardly.
Great for everybody.
As you're talking, I'm thinking about. I know that typically when I'm using databases and things like that, you can put so much stuff in there that the skill. I'm a teacher, so I'm always starting to think of what skills are necessary for this, fourth industrial revolution and Web3 and all this stuff. So it sounds like having an understanding of naming conventions is kind of important.
Absolutely.
In light of this new technology.
Absolutely. And I actually was talking about this the other day to someone. You can do something as simple as a one-digit Caesar shift, right? So, ABC becomes BCD, and just shifting that one letter over from A to B and then from B to C and C to D, you can have an entire name set. Then the entire universe of names opens itself up to you, so that you can create, your own unique name set and tie it to the blockchain, but display it in your viewer in real world text. So it's great. And people haven't, really fully utilized that, mostly because the name set, you have 26 letters and special characters. It's a pretty big name set in terms of number of combinations. I've never actually done the math, but it's large. So, there hasn't been an abiding need to do that yet, but you certainly can.
Interesting. Well, I see someone has a question in the chat here. They're asking what level of encryption is being used. Is it SHA-256?
So no, it's not SHA-256. It's actually in that program that I just showed you. It is a library called TripleSec, which I like because it's 3 kinds of encryption. It principally AES, which is a symmetric encryption algorithm that's sort of one of the gold standard algorithms out there. But it uses 2 other algorithms. Actually, a deprecated one, so it actually only uses 1 other algorithm. But it has some added features, so that's why we use that library. But principally, it's AES. And I've got another platform, on Mango Farm. The encryption is basically PGP encryption.
So many different ones.
I got a question. How long of a video can be placed on your platform?
Unlimited. So the platform itself, we actually, it's not out yet, but it's the IPFS one you just saw. It's got a number of tiers, right? So that one is not free, and Mango Farm is free. That one is not free because it's designed for people to actually use it, as intended, not as an experimenting tool. But there's a 100 megabyte tier, there's a 500 megabyte tier, there's a 1 gigabyte tier, and then there's a call Doug tier. Right? Send me an email and I'll give you as much as you want. But in terms of the back end, that can expand, I don't want to say to infinity, but it can expand as far as I can imagine it expanding in the near term, for sure.
So you can basically put a movie on NFT, a movie on there.
I have, for sure. You can put an encrypted movie. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
And you know what, Doug, can you also kind of delineate in my mind, maybe you made this clear already, the difference between, well, I know the one side is NFT only, well, not quite, I guess, because you just said you can put movies and all kind of things on there. What's the difference between the original Mango Farm asset platform and this new one?
I can show you, right? So,
Okay.
So I have another clip for that.
Okay.
Glad I anticipated that question. The first one was principally designed for folks who just want to use the Ravencoin wallet. There are 3 Ravencoin wallets out there, 2 mobile wallets and a QT, which you download from GitHub, that are considered sort of core Ravencoin products, right? It's the decentralized Ravencoin network produces these. So Ravencoin is very much like Bitcoin in that it's decentralized. There's no sort of, there's no CEO of Ravencoin or anything like that. It's code. And there are 3 principal code products, the 2 mobile wallets and this wallet. This platform is designed for folks who want to use those, don't want to use Mango Farm at all, want to use those. This is the IPFS tool that enables them to easily store their and use their metadata, their data that gets attached to the blockchain. Mango Farm's different. Mango Farm is sort of a turnkey solution. It's designed for making assets. So, and it does it in a different way than the Ravencoin core wallets do, right? So you notice that the one thing that I put on there was that IPFS hash. And that IPFS hash was flat. It was one Salvador Dali picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
One document. So one of the things that we brought to the Mango Farm, one of the innovations in Mango Farm is you can have documents with attachments with multiple attachments that look kind of like emails. Right? So I can have all this metadata and then I can have 27 different attachments attached to that metadata. So I can have, I can have my certificate of authenticity for a piece of art. I can have the bill of sale. I can have legal documentation. I can have, you can put prospectuses, all sorts of things, but it's not one, it's multiple. So I can show you that. And it's got a little builder on it, which is kind of cool. Mango Farm needs a little bit of an update. I've been working so much on other stuff that the tech on some of these other platforms is like, a year advanced to what's on the Mango Farm platform. So one of these days, there's going to be an intense focus on putting all that stuff back. But on the free platform, this is, let me back up a little bit here. So here it is, tokenize the world one asset at a time is the other sort of little catchphrase. But it's got a wallet, a builder, and a viewer. So we'll go through the wallet now. And what I'm doing here is basically just creating a new blockchain wallet, which you need to do. Mango Farm is a fully functional blockchain wallet. And it uses, the BIP44 standard. For those who don't know what that is, I mean, it's a standard that allows you to use a number of words, 12 words in this case, and generate an unlimited number of blockchain addresses using just those words. So the words become your backup. So for those who have heard the phrase, not your keys, not your crypto, or not your keys, not your Bitcoin, right? Your keys are actually those 12 words. And all you need to do is write them down and securely store them, either on a piece of steel, stamped on a piece of steel, or, if it's not a lot of money, on a Ziploc baggie on a piece of paper with an indelible marker. But you can, and it's very, very important, you can restore everything that you have on this wallet, on a Mango Farm wallet, on any other device that uses this BIP44 standard. It was a standard put out by the guys over at the Trezor company, which is a great hardware wallet. It's incredible, and I think it's one of the best standards in the blockchain space, if you ask me, because it allows you to restore your wallet. You are not dependent on me, on Mango Farm. The site goes down tomorrow. You don't lose all your stuff as long as you have those 12 words. And I don't have those 12 words. It's a non-custodial wallet. We don't collect any data. We don't collect your words. We don't have any idea what what your private keys are on this platform. And I saw a tweet by Elon Musk today. I don't know who saw it or who's seen it, who hasn't. But he said, it was some wallet out there in the Doge space, and he said, your wallet. He said your wallet sucks. I think he said, but your wallet sucks. Anybody that uses a crypto wallet, which I thought was probably a little bit harsh, but anybody that uses a crypto wallet that doesn't provide them their keys, basically shouldn't be using crypto. It was a little bit snarky, but it's a really, really important point, because that mantra, that not your keys, not your crypto, what does that mean? That means that if you are in possession, you are empowered, you are the one who controls your Bitcoin, your Ravencoin assets, your whatever it may be, as opposed to giving up that control to somebody else. Because what happens when you give up control to someone else? They take a cut, right?
Right.
So, it's got practical economic effects in addition to sort of legal effects. If you don't own your keys, if you don't hold the keys, and if you can't transact in your Bitcoin or in your Ravencoin or in your asset on your own without permission from somebody else, you don't own it. They do. All you have is the right to sue them if they don't give it to you if you ask for it. So what do you own when you don't own your keys? You own a potential future lawsuit against somebody else. That's it. So that's the difference between custody and control and ownership. And I think it's critically important. So this wallet was designed literally from the first day with one thing in mind. We are not going to control anybody's keys. This is a non-custodial wallet in the truest sense. So you can create a wallet, and you've got these set of 12 words right here. And you write those down, and those become your backup. Very simply, you put in your basic information, email address. This is stored in a hash. It's not stored in plain text, but it's stored in a hash. Password and confirm password and your pins all stored in hashes, not plain text. So on the server side of things, we never see any of this data. We don't know who you are, and we don't have your keys. So the one danger in that is if you lose the keys and then this goes down, you've lost what's on here. So write your keys down, which I think I put in.
Yeah, I like that.
Exclamation point up there. So you create this wallet. It's pretty straightforward. It takes a second or two because it's generating a lot of data there to store for you. And so now here you are. You're in now a Ravencoin wallet. But this is a little bit different than the other Ravencoin wallet we looked at, because it's got a couple of extra features. It's got a tab here for Ravencoin. This tells you how many Ravencoin you had. It's got a tab for all your assets. So you can, I'll show you later, but you can have, any number of assets in here, and point and click. You click on the asset and you can view all the data associated with it, which I'll show you. Encryption. I don't want to get too much into the encryption today, but it's you can have all of your metadata, all of your data associated with your asset private. So it's private information on a public blockchain. And then admin allows you some admin features. But the one cool thing about Mango Farm, and it was actually not so easy to do, but it's here, and it's here for a reason. See this little toggle switch up here? Anybody that wants to mess around without having to pay any money can just click that testnet button, make it as many assets as you want, have fun, experiment. There's a faucet built right in, I'll show it to you, and build your NFTs on the Ravencoin testnet and learn the ropes before you ever have to spend 1 cent actually making an NFT. In Ravencoin, there's a 500 Raven cost. It's a burn cost. It gets burned to make an asset, right? It's a few dollars. But you don't have to spend a penny learning the ropes and experimenting. Just click that testnet button, which we'll do. So this video actually does testnet. So I've got a faucet in here. You can just go down to testnet faucet and get yourself 2000 testnet Raven. It gets sent to you in about 1 minute when you do that. So a minute later, boom, you've got 2000 Raven in there that you can make an asset with. So here's the asset builder. It's a simple web form. There's 2 ways to build assets on Mango Farm currently. There's going to be more in the future. And in particular, one of the things I want to upgrade is this web form looks imposing, right? So I want to make it sort of step 1, step 2, step 3 with little pop-ups from a UX perspective. But currently, there's 2 ways to make a Ravencoin asset on Mango Farm. One is with full metadata, I call it, which is a specification that we created of basic data that people might want to include on their asset. You can include some, you can include not include some. The only thing that's required is this information right here. This is the blockchain stuff that you must have. Everything down here is optional. And the other alternative method is single file, which is very much like what we did before with the Ravencoin wallet. It's just one flat file. So you proceed to fill out this little form as much of it as you want. This asset, I decided to do Van Gogh's self-portrait and make an NFT for Van Gogh's self-portrait. So I created with the asset name, quantity 1. There's a little icon that I dropped in. That's the self-portrait itself. Put in a little bit of information. So I've got a full asset name. That's not on the blockchain. That's just what I'm calling the asset in the real world. I put in, description. It's oil on canvas. I think I put in here the, whose collection it was in. Sorry, I was probably doing 3. I'm faster at typing than this. I was probably doing 3 things at the same time. It's remarkably slow right here. Let's put in the information about the collection. We've got the issuer. I put the National Gallery of Art, which is where that painting actually hangs. Website, I dropped in there the National Gallery of Art's homepage. Okay. Typing it excruciatingly slow.
And let me ask you something. You in this time just now, did you put that in? Did you upload it somewhere, or did you? Yeah. So
you can't see that here. What I did was that icon, I dragged it from my other screen.
Oh, okay. You dragged it. Okay.
So I have 2 screens.
It's popped in there. Okay.
Correct. Everything is drag and drop on the site. So,
I missed that.
You have to type in this information, but I drag and drop the icon. And you'll see for the attachments, that's all drag and drop.
Okay.
Other data. So if you want to sell it, right, there's your admin token price. You can price it in Raven or Bitcoin or other things. And the goal here is to then have another site where this information is compiled. And folks can actually click a button and use an atomic swap to make a bid on the asset, and that the seller of the asset can click a button and it will sell the asset on an atomic basis for Ravencoin. So not built yet in prototype concept mode, but that's one of the things that I want to add to this platform, so that folks can do peer-to-peer atomic swaps for their NFTs right here on the platform. So I've got some keywords here. And then down here, this is what I was talking about before. So you can put any number of attachments to this set of metadata. So it's not just a flat file. It's a file with attachments of any kind. So this right here, you can upload. You can create a document yourself. So if you actually want to write a contract, this has a little Word, WordPad type contract creator, I call it. And you click on that button, and you can actually just write the words of the contract in there. Or you
Just
can add
normal speak, just normal talks, just normal speak, no coding type language.
Not a smart contract, regular contract.
Wow,
It
interesting.
says this asset is associated with this real world asset, and the holder has the following rights, right?
Okay.
So talk to a
I'm sorry.
lawyer before you actually do something of value. And that,
Okay.
I have to always give that caveat because I am a lawyer.
Let me ask you something about that uploading file. Are you able to just upload like a zip file, or would you have to individually put stuff?
You can. I go back and forth, and currently zip files are disabled. Disabled. So you can't, as you're sitting here right now, upload a zip file to Mango Farm.
Okay.
But I've gone back and forth, and I've actually allowed zip files to be uploaded in the past.
Okay.
The reason there are security reasons why you would want to do it. So I currently have disabled. But you can upload any number. You'll see. I put 1 in, but you can put 10 or 50 or 100. I've had videos and encrypted files and clips and GIFs and images and documents and Word documents all on the same blockchain asset.
Awesome.
So here I clicked on it. I dropped in from off screen the actual painting. There it is. It uploaded. Now that uploaded to IPFS. So the step that we did before with the Ravencoin IPFS platform, that just did it automatically. So now that file is loaded on IPFS and is loaded up and ready to go with the blockchain asset, without having to copy and paste it and do all that stuff. So here
Before
it
you
is.
go any further, there is a question, and I wanted to ask.
Sure.
As well.
Yeah.
At the very top, you have a checkbox that says reissuable. What
Good
does
question.
that toggle on and off of?
Good question. So I have it defaulted on Mango Farm to reissuable. What does that mean? If you issue an asset, right, and you make a mistake, or you want to increase the number of units in the future, right? I issued 1 for this Van Gogh. If I want to issue 1 now, get a placeholder, capture the name, but I might want to issue, 150, or say it's a piece of art. At the time that I tokenize or create the blockchain asset for that piece of art, I may have the piece of art hanging on my wall. But I may want to fractionalize that piece of art at some point in the future into 100 shares. So I get the name now with 1, and I keep that button clicked, reissuable, so that I can reissue the other 99 later with new metadata, all of this stuff that we're talking about adding to the, you can redo it all. So I can put a new icon, I can put new contact information, I can change all that metadata.
Great. And so when it's toggled off, that means it is a 1 of 1 or whatever quantity that you had already.
It's immutable for all time. You cannot change anything associated with that blockchain asset.
All right, that's perfect.
Right. So it truly is, immutable. So this is a preview of what the asset will look like on the blockchain, right? It's got all that data that we just input in here. It doesn't include the attachments, the icons for the attachments, but it's got that hash that we were looking at before. You click on looks good. It builds the transaction for you. You put in your PIN. It signs the transaction for you, and boom, it broadcasts it to the blockchain. So right now you've just created in, what did it take with my slow typing, a minute, right? You've created a blockchain asset, a non-fungible token on the blockchain with, in this case, 1, but you could have easily dropped multiple attachments, full metadata, with a couple of clicks, a web form, and in this instance, for free. So it's pretty cool stuff. So this is the Blockchain Explorer, just showing, I wanted to show that, you have to wait. It's not instantaneous. You have to wait. It's unconfirmed for 1 minute. Ravencoin takes a minute for the first confirmation. And after 1 minute, you are now immutably locked on that Ravencoin blockchain. So then let's close out of this, sign out of the wallet, and take a look at what that asset looks like on the Ravencoin blockchain. Oh, I wanted to show, I had 2,000 Raven in the beginning. Now I have 1499, right? So 1499.99. That's because 500 Raven went to the burn fee in order to create that asset. and 0.01 Raven went to the miners as a miner fee.
Now let me ask you something about that then.
Yes.
So is that the flat rate for then something, the way you have this set, or?
I don't know. It's the minimum. So there's a minimum fee on testnet. It's 0.01, just because it doesn't matter. I mean, I could put anything on testnet, but there's a minimum fee. It's penny. It's fractions of a penny. But on the mainnet Ravencoin blockchain, there's actually an algorithm on the platform that estimates what the appropriate fee will be to get it in the next block. So it sort of auto configures itself to give you the lowest fee above the minimum fee that you would have to pay in order to get it one block in.
Because I've always wondered too, if I ended up doing something and then I ran out of money somehow in there, how's that handled? Does it just get kicked out?
All the time. It happens all the time. I don't know how much Raven I have in there, and I go in quickly on my phone. This is all mobile friendly. I go on my phone. I try to make an asset, that I want to tweet to someone or something like that. Somebody says something interesting, and I want to make an asset in 30 seconds on my phone to send it back to them. I do it all the time because I have like one less Raven, and you just can't make it, right? So if you have 499 Raven, you can't make a Ravencoin asset.
Okay, I was just always curious about that too. Because I know people are trying to understand, well, like you have to pay for it. Somebody has to pay for something. How much do you have to have, and all that kind of thing. So
absolutely. So you have to have 500 Ravencoin in order to make your main asset, right? So you have to have a main asset before you can make any of the other kinds of assets on Ravencoin. Now you can get that 500 Ravencoin on, and I would suggest getting a little bit more. Ravencoin is it's been changing, minute by minute today. I can tell you what it is as we're sitting here. It's 4.9 cents right now.
Okay.
So it's dollars to make a Ravencoin asset. $20. At the highest, it's been up to 20, and it's been as low as a couple. So, but you can get it on. There are a couple of platforms that you can get Ravencoin on to do that. You can mine it certainly, which is one of the great things about Ravencoin. It's an open source network, and it's still GPU mineable. So if you have a gaming PC, you can get Ravencoin just by flipping it on in your spare time. If you want to buy it, you can go Binance US. Binance US has a US dollar pair. Sequoia is a smaller exchange, but I actually have I'm an advisor to them. They have a US dollar pair. Bittrex has a Bitcoin pair, and many, many other exchanges, right? You can get it in a lot of different exchanges, but those are the three main ones. You can buy the Ravencoin and then flip it to a Mango Farm wallet, flip it to your QT wallet, and experiment around, or make your first NFT. I would recommend to anybody that wants to do it to try testnet first, because you do make mistakes, right? Folks may not recognize that reissuable button, for example, or may uncheck it and not know what that means.
Right.
You learn the ropes by experimenting. And that's why I built this with this testnet feature on here, so that people can experiment for free without worrying about losing anything of value.
That's great. I'm going to take it for a test drive. I have a couple of NFTs. You mentioned before, like the example, if you have the piece of artwork on your wall.
Yeah.
Now, when you digitize it and you put it on the blockchain and somebody purchases it, do you send the physical artwork, and how do you authenticate it if you're doing that also?
Yes, you can, right? You can slice this apple any way you want, but and that's one of the beauties of sort of the uniqueness of what's going on in the space, is that there are folks making purely digital NFTs, and then there are folks doing things like what I'm doing, which is, I'll show you. I have another clip. This is my third clip of the Rick DeMont site and how that works. So why don't I pause that one, because I'll go straight to that clip and I can answer your question with the clip.
Sure.
And you'll see right away sort of how we did it for the Rick site. But one thing I haven't done is do purely help someone do a purely digital piece of art, which I want to do, but haven't gotten to it yet. So I just wanted you to see, in the wallet, this is the assets tab. And you want to click on that asset, and this is what it brings up. It brings up the asset, sort of pulls it straight from the blockchain. And I've got my little attachment here. which was the the piece of art itself. So there you have it.
Ah, Van Gogh.
Yep. So I signed out here. I'll fast forward this a little bit just to show you. It's got an asset viewer on the platform. So this is now logged out of the wallet. You are just a regular user. You don't actually have any rights to that asset, but you want to look at it. There's an asset viewer, and I designed it very, very simply. It's literally, you start typing and it'll bring up all the assets with the names. So here I start typing Van Gogh. It brings up all the Van Goghs, all of which are me, by the way, on testnet. And I scroll down, I click on that one, and boom, it brought up my asset. So this is what somebody would see if I created this metadata unencrypted, like I just did. If I encrypted it, they wouldn't see anything. It would be gibberish to them.
So seeing your list of names there, that goes back to the whole naming convention piece. So like if I were to create maybe a folder or something that had, kind of, and then I kept with that same kind of, I guess,
Absolutely.
kind of thing.
So that's how Ravencoin
almost
works.
like a domain almost or something.
Absolutely. Ravencoin has main assets, right? And then you have sub assets
Okay.
and unique assets. There are other kinds of assets too, restricted assets. Well, but a main asset is Van Gogh, okay, or art. And if you own art, you're the only person that can ever make a sub asset underneath art, right? But you can make as many sub assets as you want. So you can create art / that's what sub asset means, Van Gogh, art / so you'll see with the Rick DeMont site, we created an asset Rick DeMont.
Right.
And every piece of art that Rick DeMont created an asset for then was Rick DeMont / name of the piece of art.
Name of the piece. Okay.
And those sub assets are cheaper. They're 100 Raven to do. So they're, if you have a good main asset, a good, top level domain asset, you can make sub assets relatively inexpensively compared to making a new main asset for each one.
That's important. That's an important
Definitely.
understanding. Okay.
So if you'd like, unless anybody has questions about what I've gone over so far, I'm happy to show you this Rick DeMont site so I can answer Richard's question.
Let's
Sure.
see, anybody?
Sure.
All
right, great.
Any questions? So far, so good.
Okay. So this is a platform that, I should actually show it to you, show you the actual platform so you can see. So
And this is a decentralized website? Or no?
So it depends on what you mean by decentralized. So no, it's on Ravencoin is a decentralized blockchain, and this website does not have your keys.
No.
It's on a server,
Okay.
but the server doesn't have access to your data.
Okay.
So it is. I'm sorry, I'm doing two things at once. So it's a centralized platform. I mean, this is it's a website. Any website by definition is something. I mean, I have the server. I can flip the server off if I want to,
Right.
but I can't stop you from sending your, from using your keys to sort of reconstruct your wallet and everything in it on another platform or directly on the Ravencoin QT. And that's one of the reasons why it's critically important for me to have this be a BIP44 wallet. So that if I decide one day, I've just been, it's expensive. It takes a lot of time. I don't want to continue this platform for free for everybody in the world. And I say, guys, next month I'm going to be shutting this down. It has no impact on you. You can't use the site, but it has no impact on your assets. You can just take those 12 words, import them right into your QT, and boom, you've got your assets back. So I will just briefly show you. Taking a second to bring it up. So this is, can you see that?
We do.
Okay, so this is Rick's site, right? And this is Rick. Great artist from out in Arizona, former Olympic gold medal holder, I think, but a world record holder, I think. I'm not a swimming guy, but he's a pretty famous swimming coach out in Arizona. And so this is his site. So this is an e-commerce platform and a site, and all of that is integrated with the blockchain stuff. So what I'm going to show you now, because that's the topic at hand, is I will show you the blockchain stuff. So I'm going to show you the artist wallet. This is what Rick sees when he opens up the blockchain piece of this platform. Very much like Mango Farm in the sense that it's got, it's got your Ravencoin balance. It's got all the features that we talked about before. It's got a builder, which we'll get to. But then these are all of Rick's pieces of art currently unsold, right? These are all the unsold ones. When he sells one on the platform in the real world, it goes to the customer. The customer automatically gets a Ravencoin wallet on a branded Rick DeMont site. So it looks like a Rick DeMont blockchain wallet. The customer gets it, and then upon delivery, the customer also receives the blockchain asset associated with the piece of art. And I'll show you what it's got on that asset. So I didn't go through the whole asset builder here because it's very similar to Mango Farm. It's just got different, artist-specific web form type stuff. But these are all of Rick's assets, and it's got a little button down here, a little paintbrush. That's how Rick creates a new asset. So he clicks that button, he types in the name, he puts in the information, and boom, he's got a new painting, new blockchain asset. Takes about a minute. You get pretty fast at these. So I wanted to show you just one example of what one of these assets looks like. So this is one of Rick's paintings for sale on that website. It's called Box Canyon Meltwater. He paints a lot of, scenery, really great stuff. It has to be very colorful too. But so this is the actual piece of art, what it looks like. This is a high-res image on the blockchain. It's got basic information, which is customizable. This is the information that Rick wanted to convey to his customers. It had a little information about where it was done. This is the Ravencoin name. So this is what we were talking about, Doctor. The Rick DeMont / Box Canyon M Water. This is Rick's main asset, and this is the name of the sub asset right here. Okay, so that little slash denotes on the Ravencoin blockchain denotes, that there is a sub asset. It's got a certificate of authenticity, and it's got the high resolution image, downloadable. So I clicked on some of these so that you can see sort of what they look like. There's the certificate of authenticity. So there it is. This is, Rick DeMont, the artist, saying the holder of this certificate, this is an authentic piece of my work. And what's interesting about this, now this is not titled. Rick's site is not a site where bill of sale transacts with the asset. We could have done that. He chose to do certificates of authenticity. But what's great about COAs is if you know the initial provenance, right? So in the case of this piece of art, that Rick DeMont is the one who created that token, the actual artist, which is why you saw that was Rick DeMont's wallet right there. I have access to it. That was Rick DeMont's wallet. Rick physically can hit the buttons and create that asset. If you know that Rick did that, because it's publicized that this is, if it's got Rick DeMont / something, Rick DeMont is the person that created that, then initial provenance is established. Okay? If you establish initial provenance on the blockchain and you attach a certificate of authenticity that says, basically, if you buy this piece of art and the person that sells it to you doesn't give you this token, it's probably fake. That's what a certificate of authenticity says. What does that mean? It means if I buy it, right, and I buy it from someone that doesn't give me that token, there may be a problem. If I get the token, I can be assured of one thing. That token, that piece of art that I have in my hands is either authentic or someone in the chain of title forged it. Right? It eliminates the rest of the world forging it. Because it has to transact from a person to a person every time, transacting both the piece of art and the token and the blockchain asset. So that means somebody in the title forged it. The one piece of, the one thing that this mechanism doesn't solve for is someone in the chain of title taking the Picasso, rolling it up, putting it under their bed, making a fake one, and selling you that fake one with the token. Doesn't solve for that. There are other ways to solve for that, right? You can have little stickers that go on the piece of art that when you pull them off, it destroys both the sticker and the piece of art. people are getting crazy with all sorts of, ideas. We have some ideas for how to do it. I'm not going to talk about those yet because one, I don't like to talk about ideas before I do them, and two, it's so cool that I just want to say here it is. But anyway, provenance is critically important. Now, there's another type of provenance that you can establish on the blockchain that I find to be important. If the artist isn't the one to create the token, the blockchain still helps, because what it does is it establishes provenance from the moment of tokenization in the future. So what can you do? If I'm the holder of, I wish I could show you with my camera. I have it right over here. I have a Buzz Aldrin Apollo 11 signed moon painting, which Buzz signed. Now, you don't know who I am. You don't know if I know Buzz Aldrin, right? So if I take that thing and I create Buzz Aldrin token and I say this token goes with this thing, right? It doesn't mean that that's real, but I can prove provenance by putting documentation. Like I have a video of Buzz Aldrin signing that. I can put that on, and then you know that at least a little closer to provenance. And importantly, I think at some point we're going to start to see, if we haven't started to see it already, we're going to start to see like something in the nature of title insurance, where insurers will actually come in and insure initial tokenization, like almost, you might even call it an initial tokenization certificate, right? And they say, if it turns out, like we're not insuring the provenance that's established by the blockchain in perpetuity. But if it turns out that this thing is a forgery and you hold the token and you have a forgery in your hand and you can establish that it was the initial provenance that was the problem, we'll pay out, just like title insurance.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Yeah. So I know I'm digressing a lot, but I think this is core, like, this is the essence of this, of what it means to do this stuff, right? There are a lot of legal issues that are still unsettled. There are a lot of insurance issues that could bring a lot of value to this space. It's not just, pull up a website and flip out an NFT. This is the future of all asset ownership, if you ask me.
See, you know what, Douglas, that's exactly where I was going, and I wanted to ask you about it. And especially, it's important as you, as an attorney, that you're able to see all of these components. And I'll be honest. Listen, I'm just going to say this. I love Rarible, the platform. Love it. I bought NFTs there. I think they're fantastic.
Awesome.
That being said, I have also seen some other like influencers on Twitter where someone has basically like grabbed their image, went on Rarible, and issued an NFT with their image that they didn't own, and someone else bought it, and they've raised that issue up. So this is a component in the space that we do need to really get this kind of untangled a bit.
Look, definitely, blockchain doesn't solve everything, and it's not a panacea. It's really good at certain things, right? What it's really good at is if I created this NFT and you get transferred that NFT, right? Then you can be pretty assured that there hasn't been any sort of corruption or hack or anything in between the transfer from you to me. Right. It also helps with that chain of title issue and that provenance that we were talking about, but it doesn't solve theft, it doesn't solve fraud, it doesn't solve forgery in all its forms. I just told you one example of a forgery that can happen, even though you've got the token in your hands and something that looks like the piece of art. But it adds a lot of value, right? I joke around about this all the time, and I always use art as the best example because it is, from my perspective. It's something people understand, right? Houses are sort of, in the realm of county clerks and books, and, they stamp big deeds and everything like that. But it's the same concept as your house, right? The county clerk's office is the chain of title for your house. There's no reason why that shouldn't be on the blockchain, and it will eventually.
It will be.
Which is the biggest asset most people own. Your car has a title. Think about how many times you've gone to the car dealer and tried to trade in your car and you don't have the darn title. Then you got to go to DMV, you got to pay them $100 and get a duplicate title, which is this big embossed thing with that stamp is, the stamp on your title on your car, when that goes down, that's like, screaming out, trusted third party has certified this. Blockchain eliminates the need for that. Someday, all titles of any significance, in my view, are going to be on the blockchain.
I agree with you. I agree. And, I will say, yes, from intellectual property, I believe that all intellectual property is going to be tokenized. I see you laughing at Douglas because I think
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I didn't see it happening. But yeah,
And guys, would that be essentially almost like the new notary?
Well, the blockchain is one of the things blockchain does very well is, it is a timestamp,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
But it does more. It's not just timestamping, it's timestamping the transfer of information.
Hmm.
Everybody's familiar with Bitcoin, or many people are now. Bitcoin, as we talked about earlier in the show, is the transfer of, I'll call it raw value. It's a transfer of data that we attribute value to. But there's all sorts of other information that can get transacted on the blockchain. I just showed you. There's a certificate of authenticity for a piece of artwork, right? That's information.
Mhm.
Yep.
I wanted to show you that. So I told you early on that our partnership is with IP Assets for some of the implementation things. I'm very much an ideas guy. I have a new partner. He's an incredible guy out of Swell. He's Forbes 30 under 30. He was a pioneer in the graphene industry, and now he's very keen on blockchain. And the two of us are very simpatico. So as time goes on, the more and more we're starting to sort of join forces. And I own an interest. Mango Farm owns an interest in his company, IP Assets. IP Assets started as a technology transfer platform for intellectual property developed by universities. So I won't get too much into the weeds of that, but I think it was you, Richard, that said this, or maybe it was Eric, but I couldn't agree with you more that intellectual property, which is an intangible asset, right? There is no tie between the real world and the blockchain world, like we were talking about before. Intellectual property is ripe for use of these tools that we're talking about. And it's also nascent. It's also, in its beginning stages. That's what makes it so interesting for me, right? It's not done. It hasn't been done before. Every time you do something, sometimes, you wake up in the morning and you say, I'm going to mess around with this or that or the other thing, and nobody's done it.
right.
Which is great. I mean, that's what life's about. So, I really enjoy it. And I really do think that intellectual property is, and it hasn't been tapped yet, but I think it's a next big wave.
Without question. Without question.
And Eric, you remember when we talked last year? I mean, it was, we were talking about this stuff, and that was before anybody was talking about NFTs. You had CryptoKitties, but that was it.
Yes. Yes. And this is what's interesting about it is how quickly things progress in this space.
Boom.
That you have. And to me, that's probably one of the most exciting things, that we go from things being a concept and sure, I kind of heard about it, to a point now where we're looking at billionaires like Mark Cuban issuing their own NFTs on Rarible. And then we have people like the social media star Logan Paul issuing the NFTs. Douglas, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I believe within this decade, every brand is going to issue an NFT at some point.
Couldn't agree more.
Gonna have to.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And look, I love, the Mark Cubans of the world and all the stars and the celebrities and everybody. You know what I'm about? I want you to be able to do it.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
I want, this is not a comment on you. I'll talk about myself. I want regular people
That's right.
to be able to do this stuff. Right?
Yeah.
And someday, right, when I sell my house, I'm not saying this is going to be this year or next year or even 10 years, but it might be for my youngest son, right? When I sell my house, I have to pay a lawyer $500 to $1,000. I have to pay a title insurance company $1,000 to $2,000. I have to pay a real estate broker. I have to pay, if I'm the seller, I have to pay the other side's real estate broker. Mm-hmm. I have to pay the bank transfer fees and MERS fees and all sorts of fees. I mean, when you think about how much money in the average transaction has to go to these third parties that are literally rendered completely superfluous by technology of the type that we just looked at on my simple website. Now, when this tech builds out in 10 years, in 15 years, people start to get comfortable with it. County clerks start onboarding it, and it becomes ubiquitous, everywhere. We're going to start to see real, the unlocking of value. There's no reason that regular people should have to pay DMV $100 to transfer the title of their darn car when you can do it on the blockchain on a phone in 2 seconds for nothing.
Yeah. That's the world I want to live in.
Me too.
I mean, it's the world that's being created thanks to people like Douglas.
Yeah, yeah. You know,
I'm a
that's
very
what
small
I'm really
part.
listening to. Yeah.
Talk about this often, but see, this technology is here, and that's what
Yes.
I talk about this a lot, is that we have to have the business functionality. Now you're saying, I want it to do something. I want something else. I want the ability to be able to transfer my title via my phone. How does that work?
Yeah.
We have it. You just have to want that. And now it's the ask that comes before what I can do. And here we have it. You've just shown us that we can do it.
I agree. And I'll tell you, I mean, we talked about this earlier, but I think it's really important to develop these things, as time goes on, in a way that the technology itself becomes transparent.
Correct.
People don't need to, you don't need to know what's going on behind the scenes.
Right. I just need to know I can do something. And
You
I
can
think
do it.
From a
And what it does, right?
Right. Yeah. I need to know. I need to validate that the tech, I need to feel secure in it. But like I tell people, you don't care about Wi-Fi. You just need that password. That's all you want. You don't need the science part of it.
Absolutely.
And that's what the applications have to be viable and user friendly for us to really adopt something at this nature. And again, you have to have the ask. The ask is, I want to be able to do this in this manner.
Yep.
And we could build whatever you want.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree
Yeah.
more.
And I was just going to say, as an educator, I absolutely agree with what you're saying. And because of what I see that we really need in terms of skill sets is really getting back to being creative and design thinking, so that these kinds of, questions and answers can be even brought out. At this point, people just are kind of sitting, waiting for somebody else to do. And they probably have great ideas just because they have a problem that they could just verbalize, and then others like yourselves, the Dougs of the world, who know how to code, and Talicia's, and know how to make wrap the tech around it.
Let me tell you,
start to, believe again and design again.
I am living proof that you can. I am not a coder, I'm a lawyer.
Yeah, but you're also a thinker, though. You're thinking outside of the box. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. You're not waiting for something to happen. You are thinking about these things and using what you got to make it happen.
Well, I'll tell you,
remember.
one more piece of information. I'm working on a project now with a great group of lawyers and developers. I'm an adjunct law professor, another law professor who's an international law professor. And we're putting together a blockchain law and technology course. That's what I teach at GW. I teach blockchain law. We call it blockchain law and policy on the syllabus, but it's really blockchain law and technology. And this is it started out as modeled after the course, but it's an expanded certificated course for people to come and learn. You don't have to be a law student or a lawyer, but you can. And learn, sort of the basics of the tech, the basics of the law, and bring people to that level where they can do, what you were talking about, where they can start to, conceive of, they have the basic understanding of the tech and what the law will allow, and then start to conceive of the applications, which is really what this is all about. It's about the application. Conceiving
of applications, yes.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. I spent some time in the legal industry, about a good 15 years at corporate law, so I know what you're talking about. It's huge, especially with intellectual property. That brings me to my question. So, is the law as caught up to blockchain with regards to intellectual property? So, for example, when you put something on there, maybe it's maybe like a corporate ID, so to speak. Mm-hmm. When it's on the blockchain, is it class, like instead of trademark, can that be considered like intellectual property, and it's like certified as you own this instead of like trademark, going to the trademark office and registering it there?
It's a great question. So let me break that into two pieces, right? One is the IP piece, and one is just the general ownership piece. And I'll deal with the IP piece first. It's not a registered trademark. It's not like the Copyright Office. It's not it's not a patent. Okay. Those are still central third-party databases controlled by the government that, they give you that stamp. I'll circle around, but I want to transition now into just general ownership. General ownership, right? I gave you a couple of examples where you get that stamp. You change the title of your house, change the title of your car. Corporations are another example, right? When I go to the Secretary of State of Delaware and I want to create a corporation, I get that stamp. It's the seal of the Secretary of State of Delaware, and I get a piece of paper, and it says, okay, I have a corporation in good standing, and the person that holds the certificate is the owner of this corporation, and it's written down in a book or on a database in Delaware. What I think we're going to see over time is we're going to start to see all of those types of centralized systems, government run, decentralized, I hope. And here's what I mean. If I've been talking about this for years now, 2 years. I spoke about it in Wyoming. They didn't pass it. They were going to pass it, and then they didn't. I don't know what happened. Chris Land now is at the Senate. I don't know. But here was the idea. The idea was just like I can create an LLC and go, which is basically you walk in or you go onto the API and you say, please, issue a certificate that tells me that this is a state entity. It's a creature of state statute. And you get the sort of the imprimatur of the Secretary of State. I want to have the same type of system where I walk in with an asset and a blockchain token, and say, I please certify that this asset goes with this token, right? They give me the same stamped piece of paper. Now this wouldn't be in person; it would be on an API. But they give me the same stamped piece of paper, and I do what I just showed you on this platform. I hash it, put it on IPFS, and then I lock it to that token. That would allow a lot. One of the main things as a lawyer that I struggle with when dealing with these NFTs, when you're talking about Bitcoin, right? Control of the key equals control of the asset, which is the hex. That isn't the case when you're talking about a piece of art, and it isn't the case when you're talking about even a piece of intangible property like intellectual property. Right. So there's an entire body of law around these things about what a contract means, what offer and acceptance is, how do you transact in these things, right? What does ownership mean? What are the bundle of rights and obligations that go along with it? And what's important is if I send that token, Richard, to you, right? If I create a token in New Jersey, which is where I am right now, despite the fact that this is my firm office and it's obviously nighttime right now, but I use that as my background. That's in New York. But if I create a token in New Jersey and I send it to you, Richard, I don't know where you are, but if I send it to you in your location, right? And it's not a contract, which is not, contract is a contractual relationship between the two of us.
Right.
What state governs the rights and obligations relating to that token? Is it yours or mine? Because they may have different rules. What if there's a third party that has a lien on my assets, right? And that third party is in another state. How does that play into all this? Now, go ahead. Sorry, Richard.
There's a company that I think that just launched. It's called Paid Network.
Right.
And they're kind of like in that space where it's for all your legal transactions.
Cool.
Yeah, check it out. Paid Network.
I will. I've never heard of them, but I'll check that out.
Yeah.
But what's cool about that system that I was telling you about is it comes from the idea. I used to do a lot of cases in the Delaware Court of Chancery, not a lot, but we did some at my firm, some big ones. And the Delaware Court of Chancery has become like the preeminent, like the major corporate law center of the world. And why? Because every corporation is incorporated in Delaware. Yep. Tiny state, but every state's incorporated there. And when you create a corporation in Delaware, the relationship between the shareholders of the corporation, the board of directors of the corporation, and the corporation, all of that is governed by Delaware law, no matter where those shares are. They can be in Bali or Zimbabwe or China or Russia. And it's called the corporate affairs doctrine, the internal affairs doctrine. The rights and obligations of those people are bound to Delaware law. And that's why the Delaware Court of Chancery has developed this massive and very well thought through body of law. about those rights and obligations. If you did my system that I was talking about in a state where you go to the Secretary of State, you get that stamp, you get the LLC equivalent for your token, same thing. You would start to see the development of a body of law, and you would solve the problem that I just described to you, which is which state law even applies to these relationships.
Yeah, with Paid Network, it lends itself globally, and they have arbitrators.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's
between
great.
between the two parties. I'll connect you. Let's exchange information. I'll connect you with the
Okay.
CEO, Kyle, with Paid Network.
Okay, great. We'll do that after the show.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, great.
Well, guys, my goodness, we've gone from all over the world with this. This is awesome.
Sorry.
I mean,
I
tend to
do,
do
I
that.
do have another question.
Sure.
Maybe you answered it before. Is there an ability to trade assets? Like if I want to trade, I know Cheryl's online. If I want to trade, maybe I have a painting with Cheryl's autograph of Oprah Winfrey for when she was living in her town. Can I swap assets like right there on the platform?
So no, not yet. And it's something that's been on my mind. I actually designed the prototype. It's ready to go conceptually. It's a question of time. I mean, I have a full-time job. I teach. I have a couple of businesses, and I do this for fun. So it's not there yet. But we are building up development staff now. And I don't mean to in any way minimize by staff. I mean real like serious developers who are pros and are working now with me on some of these things. So I'm hoping that the schedules will start to get more condensed because I'm the bottleneck for most of the stuff. But to answer your question, no, not yet, but definitely in concept. And I really want to.
Awesome.
I want to bring the ability for people to peer-to-peer atomic swap assets for Ravencoin and assets for assets right on the platform. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing if I don't accomplish that.
love it.
Cool. Awesome.
All right. Do we have any other questions?
Good, and we are well over time, but
Oh,
that's-
good.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, but this was good stuff. I mean, my goodness, so we were really engaged with this.
Look, I enjoy talking to you guys, and we can break down. We can have a talk anytime you guys want.
yeah, I definitely. I have something that I'm actually working on for a client, and I think again, it's that bringing it down. I think this is where we get the enterprises are doing that, like Eric had said, like every brand, but we also are a brand, and there's a lot of small businesses and medium businesses
sure.
that do just as much. And they need that ability too to leverage another revenue stream for their business. And I think this is where, the conversation can go a whole lot of different ways. But again, these are the individuals who can test and learn right along with the enterprises because they do have something of value.
For sure. And look, things can come out of left field too, right? You got a lot of people that talk about securities, and you can do ISDA agreements on smart contracts and $1 trillion stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about this. This is something maybe I'm giving away a business. Somebody, I hope you make a mint off of this. Anybody that listens.
All right.
I get so annoyed every time I have a TV that breaks because the warranty is nowhere to be found. Right? I don't know where the warranty is or when they expire and all that stuff. Think about a warranty wallet. It looks just like the wallet we looked at. It's got all my warranties in it.
Nice.
Simple, right? But something that changes, it enhances your life. It's a simple thing, right? But then I never have to search for my warranties anymore. I put them all in one wallet. Many things like that. It's not just the big stuff. It's about enhancing people's lives. It's not about the technology for the technology's sake.
And you know how those kind of solutions come about is just like what I was saying before. We actually have to cross folks who know the law, folks who do, just regular folks with just problems that we just put it out on the table, put it on the sticky notes, and then, wrap the tech around it. And there you go.
That's why networks like yours are actually critically important. I mean, I've watched since Eric and I did the last interview. I've watched what you guys do, and it's great. And having networks like this for folks to connect. You may have a lawyer in the group. You may have somebody who's technically inclined. You may have somebody who's a great marketer. That's how communities are built, and that's how products are built too. So a product is basically a community of people who work for the same company putting something out.
That's right.
So it's important, right? Not everybody has all of the skills that are required. Very few people have all the skills, but together, many people together, individually and collectively have the skills to make something great.
Absolutely. I believe that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's where the innovation is. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up with that because we could keep on going because this is so great because you're an educator. You're showing, you're telling, this is awesome. This is what we're all about here.
Thank you all for having me. I mean, this was great.
Oh.
I enjoyed talking to you. And,
So very
Then
much.
just share.
As always.
Thank you. And we'll definitely get her over there and get our coins in there and start playing around on that test net.
Right. I'm gonna
and
test
Richard,
that.
guys.
I'll reach out through Eric. I'll get your contact information and we can connect up on the paid network thing.
Great.
Yes,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Good night,
All right.
Doug.
Thank you so much. Everybody saying great discussion tonight. Thanks for your questions, folks, and the attendance. And thanks so much again, Doug and Richard, Delisha, Eric, for all the questions. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Be
Good night.
safe. Bye-bye now.
Here.